So, welcome on in. I'm excited to have Michael here with us. We're going over today how volunteers become ambassadors. So, the effectiveness of storytelling. We're really lucky to have this going today. So, a few quick things here. I'm Samantha. I'm with Civic Champs. I'm on our customer success team. I'm passionate about leveraging technology to strengthen community impact. But more importantly, today we have Michael with Thoughts into Actions. And I feel really lucky that we do have Michael here with us today because he has over 20 years of experience coming into this, where has helped organizations strengthen volunteer engagement and build long-term community through the effectiveness of storytelling. And so, how do we sort of get Michael is an expert in how we get volunteers from just being a one-time engagement to a long-term solution here. And so, with that, we're going to just go into a couple of logistics. So, as you signed up for today, don't feel the need to take notes or do anything extra recording. We're going to send this on over to you afterwards. And so the formal presentation is going to be about 30 to 40 minutes, followed by a Q&A. But if you do have questions, we would actually welcome you to jump off of mute and ask them away. This is a webinar for you, and so we want you to get the most out of it for you. So if you want to go ahead, jump off of mute and ask any questions during, we would love that. Or if you feel more comfortable to put them into the chat, I'll be monitoring that. So then that way you could go ahead and ask there. All right, a little bit about Civic Champs. So, for the past 7 years, Civic Champs has been empowering nonprofits through recruiting, onboarding, scheduling, engaging, retaining, and reporting. Today, we're really going to focus in on that retention here with Michael. But a little bit more about Civic Champs is that through Capterra, we have been voted best value and best ease of use for nonprofits here. And here's some imagery if you're not familiar with what Civic Champs is. This is a little bit of how our platform works. And so I'd be happy to talk with you after the webinar. My contact information is below, so then that way you'll receive that as well. But more importantly, I'm going to let Michael get on started here. So I'm going to disconnect my screen, Michael, and you could go ahead and start with yours.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. I'm really excited to be with you all here today. I'll start, and let me get my gallery view here so I can see everybody's wonderful faces. Just by a show of hands, how many of you would say that your volunteers are just absolutely one of the most important parts of your organization? All right, perfect. Hands up. Now, I would ask you to continue to keep your hands up. Yep, got some emojis there. That's perfect. Keep those hands up if your organization today has a designed process and a strategy to turn those volunteers into storytellers, donors, what we call those mission multipliers and ultimately ambassadors. Great. Great. Okay, a few of us. That's fantastic. Well, I think you're really gonna love this as it's gonna hopefully just add and complement more on what you're doing. For those that don't today, there is a gap, and those that have started doing it and are starting to see the impacts knows it's costing your not-for-profit in terms of just donor growth, volunteer retention, referrals, just the overall advocacy and ways to help you maintain your organization long term. So I really appreciate your all's focus as Samantha said today. This is all for you. I'm here really just to be as a service to give you some information. So all I ask is be open-minded. You might pick up some new ideas here, or you may think of some things that you've already known, and you're just kind of leveling up or reinvesting in those. And then also challenge today. This is yours. This is a safe space, so I want you to feel completely comfortable sharing your feedback. And as you'll see as we go through the presentation, it's something that I'll be engaging you with, and Samantha and I will be calling you out. So we'll have some fun with it. Sound good to everybody so far? Awesome. Well, I can't see everybody's faces, but as we get this going, please, I can't hesitate enough. Let us know what questions you have. But we'll get started. So, before we really dive in, I just want you to kind of think about this phrase. engage today, giving tomorrow, and mission growth. I believe one of the greatest hidden opportunities inside your not-for-profit today is already sitting right there in your volunteer base. Not just simply as helpers or supporters, but as future, again, storytellers, these potential donors, advocates, and ambassadors. So that's really what we're going to talk about unlocking today is turning volunteers into these ambassadors that help you drive mission growth. So, but first, I would like to make this a little fun. You all took your time here on the afternoon. In the chat, if you would, if your volunteer leadership style were an animal, what would it be? Samantha, if you can help me, let's see. Where's my chat? There we
Oh,
go.
yeah, we have somebody that feels like a dog,
Okay.
a dog
You
as
could be
well.
loyal, you could be running around, so that's a tough one. Yeah, I like it.
I love this. A cat,
Yeah.
a panther, a penguin,
Nice.
multiple penguins. I
Oh, we're gonna
personally
talk
feel
about
a
them.
little bird-like. We have somebody that feels like a chicken.
Okay. Golden Retriever, yes. Love it. Yeah, I had somebody recently put in that they were an octopus, feeling like they were, especially as a volunteer coordinator, with all the arms out there. So I'm sure some of you might be able to relate to that one as well. Octopus, yeah,
Yeah.
Anastasia. She's like, yes, that's my spirit animal. Well, great. Well, th this matters. And, it sounds a little funny, but it does matter more than it sounds because your leadership style does influence how you communicate, how you're showing up, and that is a byproduct of retention, the energy that you get from your volunteers, that trust, and just overall engagement. So as we head into what we're going to be really focusing on today, it's just going to be pretty basic and simple. Again, things that you already know. What's the value of these volunteers? How can we create engagement that drives actual growth, like something that we can measure and see and it's tangible. And we can even maybe as a volunteer coordinator go back to our board and our executive director be like, wow, this is a direct result. And that's pretty special. And how we can be thoughtful and intentional about building these future storytellers that give us feedback. So, and at the end, I'll give you something actionable. I always like it when I come to one of these. You spend your time to come here is to walk away with something you can actually use, right? That's my concept is thought into action because at least one thing today you're going to walk away with that brings value. So that's what I'm going to challenge you to do is think of something, find something, hold on to it, and then we'll report to that. And then at the end, we'll open up for some Q&A as well. All right. How are we doing so far? Everybody feeling good? Sounding good? Can't see everybody's faces,
Feel
but
good.
the silence feels wonderful. All right, so here we are. Let's kick this off with a game. Everybody loves a little quiz, so if you could scan that QR code, we're going to do a quick little interactive challenge. How well do you know the five T's of philanthropy? And don't worry, it's not going to be graded, and we're not sending this back to your team at the office. Okay, I'm coming in. Okay, tracking. Okay, perfect. Treasure, ties, testimony. Perfect. Tricks, tweets. I like it. I like it. Okay. Okay. We're getting looks like everybody's kind of wrapping up, getting the last few polls in here. Looks like you got some more votes coming. All right. Very good. Nobody picked tricks. Okay, that's good. That was a trick. Nobody picked tricks. That's good. All right, ties, testimony. It's great. We'll keep going on here, but I think what we can really look at here and why I bring this up for you and what the five T's are. Many of you know these, right? Time, talent, treasure. I often find when consulting with some not-for-profits, though, sometimes it's overlooked is the ties and the testimonies. And in my experience, those can often be some of the biggest drivers for long-term mission growth. What we found is people stay way more connected to an organization when they feel emotionally tied, right? Think about your personal connection. I guarantee many of you could go out into the marketplace and probably get paid way more in value for your skills and what you're doing. But you've got this tie to make that impact. And that can really multiply when you start getting the testimonies and the experiences. So, one thing I'd like for you to consider is, a volunteer with a great experience, they're going to tell a story. Absolutely. But a volunteer that has that transformational experiment, that's when you really start to see and build momentum.
Yeah.
Okay, we're moving along here in the chat. I'm just kind of curious, what does feel hardest to your organization as you look at these T's? Anybody brave enough? Ties, yeah. Ties, testimony and ties. Yeah. You too. Treasure. Yeah, absolutely. Testimony. Testimony. Perfect. How about you? I'll start with you, Lisa. Can you tell us a little bit? You mentioned ties. What do you find is challenging about that, and where are you all at, and as far as like creating a process to address it?
Hi. So we don't have a process right now. We're a volunteer organization, like a membership organization, but we're all volunteers. Like we pay a membership to be a part of the organization, but we're all volunteers and like um, fundraise for the organization.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, we don't have anything just yet. So I'm here to learn.
Yeah, well, you're tied, right? Maybe just the label of it and how you're identifying it. But yeah, I don't know enough about that membership, but just based on what you told me, it's like if you're all fundraising, you're giving your talent and getting other people to help share their treasure. So that's fantastic. There's something there. That's great. Anybody else want to share what's kind of holding them? I see Kayla Harold mentioned testimony. What seems to be the challenge there for you all?
I think it's the ability to capture volunteer stories and sharing them. I find a lot of our volunteers are very humble, which is fabulous, but that just means they're like, oh, well, I just stock in the food pantry, or I don't want to make a big deal about it. So it's like really encouraging them to share their stories and to be public with sharing their stories. That is our current challenge.
Okay, great. Well, maybe we might share some ideas and get some others. Anybody else kind of going through something similar? I see a testimony in there a few times. Um, I'm from the Midwest here, and that's definitely something we run into a challenge a lot is that humility. It's like that's why we love you, but we need to also be proud, right? We're doing some impactful things. Let's share it. So we'll walk through that. Well, I appreciate you all diving in and coming off mute and sharing. Any other feedback, testimonies, ties? I saw some time in there as well. That's a really good one. Sweet. This is your time, my friends. Just make sure it's good. So let's keep this fun feedback going. And we found one of the fastest ways to improve engagement is a pretty simple thing. Just feedback, right? Appreciation. So okay, kind of talk about that. What's a way that you're currently gathering volunteer feedback? I'll look at Vincent James. What are you and your team doing?
Most of the bandwidth we have is just, getting feedback from the volunteers during and after the event, while we're with them in person. So it's very informal.
Informal. Okay. But you've identified, hey, here's a time, and we know we've got a kind of a captive audience. We're going to try to get as many as we can. Is that kind of process?
Yep,
Um,
that's right.
How are you doing it? What type of mediums are you getting kind of feedback on?
Well, I'm talking about our musical instrument petting zoo events where we have volunteers. And
Okay.
again, at the end of the event, when we're packing up and the crowds are gone, that's when we have an opportunity to gather some of their feedback.
Okay. So it's more of just like a one-on-one conversation. Vincent, you walk up and say, "Hey, thanks for coming out. What was your experience like?" Type questions.
Yep,
Oh,
exactly.
perfect. Awesome. Anybody else has a process that they find that is really working well for them that maybe some of us can steal from?
Hi, everybody. I'm Liz. I'm with the State Long-Term Care Ombudsman Program in Ohio, where we work with volunteers who do long-term care resident advocacy. So it's a huge job. It's a difficult job, and we need their input almost continually. So we do an annual survey through SurveyMonkey. We have some really pointed questions that don't just get at retention strategies or connections, but also just job satisfaction. Is it what they thought they'd be doing? We also gather them at least twice a year virtually to network, and it's across the state. So we have about 140 um, volunteers that connect, and it's delightful. They are so generous. We saw our survey response rate go from 52% the first year to 65% this year, which is our third year. And the response rate, strategies are I call each and every one. I reach
Uh,
out to the volunteer coordinators in each region and, ask them to remind their folk. So lots of support across the state for that. So it's been delightful. And then what they give us when we ask the question, sorry if I'm rambling.
no, this is
Um,
beautiful. Please.
when we ask the question, what do you find meaningful about their work? Those are lovely quotes that can be used in volunteer recruitment messaging. We
Yeah.
also get quotes from the clients and residents that we serve, though not as many. And that's golden. And when they tell us what challenges them, it's the same kind of, but you do this anyway. So here's what you're challenged by. And the next question on the survey right after that one is, would you recommend, how likely are you to recommend this to a friend? And almost
Hmm.
all of them off the charts. Yes, absolutely. So there's something to these folk. We do good screening too, but I think that's
Yeah.
been really helpful to get their feedback. And we trust them and we listen to them. That matters.
I love everything that you're saying, and you're starting to steal a little of the thunder, Liz. So I'm going to ask you to come do the next slide with me in a moment. But can you share with us? I thought that was really wonderful. One, you got a teammate here that wants to connect with you on your strategy. Talk to us about that conversion. Any secrets that you've all seen, or how did you get that additional engagement? You mentioned calling at all 140, I think, as I heard the total number.
That's correct.
Wow.
Yeah, I just reach out to them and make sure that they know their opinion matters. And since we have 12 regional volunteer coordinators, I created a reminder schedule with some gentle scripting that they could use if they wanted to. So I really I mean, they can make it their own, of course. They know their
Mhm.
volunteers better than I do, but they gave them a springboard. And we keep the survey period open for 3 weeks to give folks a chance to think about it. But mostly it was, oh, by the way, and if I happen to be visiting a region, have you filled out the survey yet?
Mhm.
And we also gave them an optional section to put their name and phone number down if they wanted a follow-up call. So I was making follow-up calls to people who did that. And we got into deeper conversations about some of the elements of the survey. And I think over the last 3 years, some of the same folk were putting their name and contact info down because darn it, we like those conversations. And I think they knew that they would be heard. And that has helped over time. I don't think that was as successful the first year, but
Mhm.
3 years in, they're, oh yeah, Liz will call me and I'll get a chance to say something just to her. And the survey is anonymous, of course. We don't ask them to identify. So that's really wonderful. And then postcard reminders, if you feel like spending the money and formatting them, anything you can do to put it in front of them and varying the message, not just the same, hey, we really want your input, but here's how it's going to benefit the people we serve if you talk to us. So it's all
Yeah.
part of the chain of impact, if that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I love how you're being very vulnerable and honest. The scaling of it, as you know, this does not happen overnight, but you're seeing the growth of it. Can you share with you had mentioned kind of right at the end there, what are you for our friends here? What are you using the data for? You're getting that. What are you using it for? And then how are you communicating those responses back to volunteers?
Oh, I'm grinning ear to ear. I'm a data geek, and
Okay.
so I want
Me
to
too.
analyze it to no end and not get any of my other work done, which isn't a good idea. But we certainly use it for recruitment and storytelling purposes. There are things that they tell us in the survey anonymously, and even though we can't reach out to that individual respondent, we can collectively at these virtual volunteer gatherings bring it up. I prepare a summary analysis with a presentation that I provide not only for the state office staff, but for the individual regions leadership as well as the volunteer coordinators. So everybody across the state has the opportunity to see the results and see how they're doing. We ask them questions like, do you feel valued? Does your staff communicate with you well, your paid staff teammates? What's meaningful, what's challenging, what's your intention to stay, which is a far
Mhm.
more valuable measure of retention than just calculating average years because it's their self-report. Do you intend to stay? And we give them three goofy options. Absolutely, not sure, I don't have a crystal ball, or I'm already planning my exit strategy. And this year, nobody was planning their exit strategy. The
Cool.
majority of them, 80% of the respondents said, oh, I'm absolutely coming back. I'm going to do this till I die. I mean, it was just that kind of energy and enthusiasm. I also meet with each region leadership and the volunteer coordinator to go over their individual regional results. And then we talk at a deeper level about how does the recruitment source question line up with your recruitment activities. If they're telling you that they've found out about you through newspaper or social media, but you're not doing a lot of promo via newspaper or social media, let's
Mhm.
talk a little bit about how that helps your recruitment planning. So we do a lot of cross pollination with the data and the analysis, and then give it back to the regions to say, now you get to decide what's most meaningful for your communities. Because some of these regions cover 8, 9 counties, which is a mix of metro and rural and everything in
Yeah.
between.
Wow.
So that's how we use that. And we continue to bring it up during performance reviews or quarterly check-ins with the regions to say, don't forget, you're sitting on a gold mine of feedback from your
Yeah.
volunteers. How might you leverage that with this planning process or with this annual goal?
First of all, Liz, thank you so much. By show of
Oh,
hands,
you're welcome.
who wants a Liz on their team, by the way? Yeah, I want one.
Stop.
I want a Liz. I mean, I don't want to unpack all the gold that you put in there, but hopefully everybody goes back and checks out this recording. And we'll kind of highlight some of the things that you shared, Liz. So I really appreciate that. I did have one more follow-up question with you, just so we can kind of see the compounding effect of what you've and your team has done here and just being so intentional. Um, you mentioned using those data points for other segments of the business, right? So, talk to us about your relationship with your director of development and fundraising, and if there's someone doing marketing for you, like how are they using this and how much are they loving you? Oh, did we lose Liz? I think you're on mute.
Looks like she is just on mute.
Perfect. Well, we'll carry on. She was a great co-host. I hope she comes back. She was amazing. But as you can see, it was just so wonderful as we go through that. Anybody else? I thought that was great. We do have a little bit more time. Anybody else got some feedback as far as some volunteers?
Sorry about that. I
Yeah.
clicked the wrong button and couldn't get to my mute. We are a state organization under the umbrella of federal and state guidelines, so we do not have a director of development per se.
Uh,
The individual regions have what are called sponsoring agencies, which are usually nonprofit
mhm.
AAA's, area agencies on aging, and they may have,
Yeah.
and they do have folks that are looking at fundraising. I think I'm ready to help the regions make that leap or stretch. Maybe leap is too big a word. Let's just not scare them, the horses too
Yeah.
much and say, let's say maybe, could you try this?
Definitely.
And it's built in. We tell the volunteers they are automatically ambassadors by default because nobody in their social circles is going to know more about long-term care than they do. They are
Yeah.
going to be the subject matter experts. How do we encourage them to leverage that without denting their humility? You're absolutely right. It's like, I'm
Mm.
not trying to take that away. Uh, but it's okay to tell a story as an observation. So we kind of say, be a scientist and observe with curiosity and not judgment the work that you do. Oh, I can do that. Okay, good. So good question, though. It's an excellent question because there's such
Thank
a
you.
link.
You were just doing a great job of laying it out. I felt it would be a disservice not to highlight, and I hope you all can pull from this of you're valuable. What you are doing is creating a huge impact. And I think what we'll start walking through here. If you can take some of this, it's going to arm you to make you one more valuable within your organization. But as you can share this data, it tells a story. The more intelligence you have, the better decisions you make. And then people, I know major gift donors, they want that. They want Liz and people that go in there. So I think spot on. So love all these responses. Thank you so much. Again, I think what Liz hit on and what I think what is really important to remember here is, people want to feel connected. And they feel connected when, as Liz pointed out, they feel valued, they see heard and appreciated. I always think of Oprah. People want to be felt seen, heard, and valued, and that's exactly what you're doing. So that's fantastic. Awesome. So here's what we know. When engagement increases, the data becomes, Liz, get ready for this one. I'm gonna nerd out with me. The data becomes very, very, very interesting, right? I'm not gonna go into this in depth with you, but there's some big key things here. Twice as likely, higher connecting behaviors. You talk about being tied and the retention. Your volunteer connectivity is so important because retention drives that long-term stability. Any questions as we kind of look at these numbers here? I think what most nonprofits I find focus on is that acquisition. You need the human capital, you got to get those in there. But long-term mission growth often comes from, deepening those relationships with people that are already as closest to you. And as you know, it's way easier to keep a volunteer than it is to try to get a new one and add on, right? So retention is truly where your trust compounds.
Mm.
All right. So, speaking of retention, I'm hoping we get some more folks out there. Anybody have a volunteer that they know that's been with the organization for over 10 years? Yeah, look, yes, yes. Anybody have anybody over 15 years?
Got a couple.
Couple? Okay. I think it was Lisa. Did you put your hand up there? Did you have one?
I did. Actually, we just for volunteer National Volunteer Month in April, we just did a whole bunch of recognition, and we did a survey to ask everybody when they first started volunteering with our organization, and some of them have been with us for over 50 years.
What? Wow. When you were doing that, if you wouldn't mind sharing, did you get an idea of what keeps them there?
A lot of different things. Sisterhood, it's a women's organization.
Okay.
Making friends, they believe in the cause.
Mhm.
Those were a lot of different things from my other survey about membership.
Yeah.
So I'm a volunteer, and all my responsibilities have to do with membership
Nice.
and volunteers.
And kind of diving into those 15 to 50 plus years, what did they say that they cared about most?
Oh, that's a good question. Feeling good about giving back to an important cause and the friendships usually.
Hmm.
Mm.
Absolutely.
Debbie,
Absolutely.
you also had somebody that was over 50 years. Do you mind sharing a little bit more about that volunteer? Let's see.
Sure. I'm president of a local legion in Alberta, Canada. And We don't have very many veterans left anymore because they've all passed away. But we have a younger group of veterans, which is a little scary, but they're in their 40 plus range. But we have some volunteers that have been, in fact, he just passed away last year, but he was a volunteer right up until he died, and he was 91.
Wow.
So he was on our board for that time, as well as he helped with many different events. So he was a volunteer 50 years plus. So, yeah.
Wow.
But we also have some others that are like that. So they still come to some of our events. They maybe can't hold the flag anymore, but they're still there. So, and I love that they still come.
I
Energy is a
appreciate
large part of volunteering too, just rallying other folks just to stay around and stick with it.
Yeah, I think
absolutely.
it's a lot to do with heart too. So,
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you, Debbie. I'm a SOL myself, and
ah,
uh, appreciate what you're doing there. Well, with that, anything that stood out from that individual about, what made them stay connected there, what they cared about most?
I think so. Him and his brothers were veterans in the war, so that plus their family had a history in that realm. Uh, his brothers were also members of our Legion, and so are his sons,
Mhm.
who are now carrying on the torch. Of course, they weren't in any wars, but they still are committed to the organization. And I
Mhm.
think that's part of it is the whole thing around family and how that impacts. I'm in my early 70s, and and I was president of our local legion 20 years ago. Took a bit of a break, and now I'm back again. And I find that I did it mostly because my father-in-law was a veteran, and some of my uncles were veterans. But I also make a big deal out of bringing my children into the legion as
Mhm.
volunteers when they're young. And I remember my 14-year-old son coming with me years ago, and they would ask for William to cook the steak and William to cook their salmon because he was good at it as on the barbecue, and he was only 14.
Mhm.
But he remembers that, and now he's on boards in his community where he lives. So I think if we bring our kids along with us, I think that makes a big impact as well.
I think you're absolutely right. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I see Lisa put another 100. And it's just so wonderful. And I think if you noticed what was coming up, right, there was that connection, the community, the belonging, the cause and purpose. So, people just they don't stay because of logistics. We love it because you run it so well, but they really stay because of that emotional connection, which is, a lot of what we're hearing. So, let's continue to talk about that. Let's talk about that appreciation. I know Vincent started talking a little bit about the feedback he's getting and trying to find ways to appreciate. What's the current way that you all are recognizing volunteers and actually giving them appreciation? That was something that came up this morning as well. Samantha, who have we not called on yet? Let's see here.
That's what I'm trying to see as well. If
I know
there's
we got some gold. They didn't show up just to learn. They've got value.
everybody does.
Let them hide out there. Let's
All right, let's see. So Victoria mentioned in the chat LinkedIn page shout outs and posts.
see.
Did you want to speak more on that, Victoria, so that other folks can learn as well?
Yeah,
Yeah, I like
so
that one.
we're a relatively young organization. So whenever we try to build a community around our volunteers. So anytime anyone joins, we kind of create this LinkedIn post and so that everyone can see and also we shout them out in our community. We have them introduce themselves on our little platform.
Mhm.
And then yeah, that's kind of how we're doing it right now. But we're relatively young, so I'm looking forward to hearing what other people have to say.
That's awesome. I really like you're meeting them where they're at, right? I think that's something that's so important as, everybody's organization, as I was kind of looking at some of you all coming in, many of you have a multi-generational volunteers. Some of you have a very heavy retired volunteer and they may be working at three different non-for-profits throughout the day. So how do you continue to show appreciation, meet them where they're at, but also just know your audience? So that's great. Ingrid, you had mentioned emails, calls, newsletter, articles, awards. What type of awards what do you give to your volunteers?
Um, in Canada, the government has a number of different volunteer awards
Oh,
based on hours and based on years. So I think the minimum a volunteer can be with an organization is 4 years before they get that certificate. But it's
wow.
quite wonderful because they often have two ceremonies. They have a provincial one and a local one in your town. So in essence, if you nominate the volunteer for the one award, they get two
Oh,
ceremonies,
cool. Yeah.
which is really nice. And I know my volunteers love the local recognition with either their mayor or a councilman,
Mhm.
and then they had that provincial recognition from the province.
Absolutely.
And
That's
it's a
fantastic.
great certificate that they get. I
Yeah.
don't know if they do the same thing in the United States, but it's quite nice. And for the event, it's often held at a rental hall, so it's a catered event, so it's a big deal.
Yeah, that is fantastic. And I'm seeing a bunch of other really great responses in here. Oh, I like those cookies. Thank you, Patty. What type of nonprofit are you with? I there are so many different ways to do it, and again, it's knowing your audience. But I really wanted to challenge you to think even a little bit more bigger than appreciation because you have them captured there. What if we could really start getting these volunteers through some levels of appreciation, just recognition, to become these ambassadors for you? And I think this is where the fun part gets into for me today, where we're going to really meet some rubber to the road, is the power of video. I'm not going to go deep into these numbers here, but as you can see, there's billions, right? Billions of hours daily, views, billions of people. And here's the reality that's happening in your organization today. Your volunteers are already telling stories about their experience with you. Now, are you amplifying them? Are you in control and do you understand what they are, right?
Hmm.
So these numbers pretty daunting. I mean, if you consider your brand and your marketing and the impact you're trying to make, like video is just not optional communication anymore. It's where attention lives, and where your attention goes, your focus follows. And as not-for-profit leaders and philanthropists and volunteer coordinators, we're at the discrepancy and the defense against all the other distractions that they have. So we're vying for their attention. So those things that you've all talked about, and Liz, like and Oprah has taught us, like the trust and the value and making people feel seen and heard, is really, really great. So the organizations that are finding ways to really capture these authentic stories, they're building trust faster, and then, as you can imagine, as you think about your relationships that you have trust, it's going to drive that giving faster. It's going to drive more referrals. Again, the advocacy and overall growth. All
Hmm.
right. So we've got a few more minutes here. I'm going to go through this next practical portion pretty quick. All right. You all, this is just one medium. So that's why I'm giving you this one piece. We can dive into, I love the letter writing, the handwritten. Like, when's the last time you got a handwritten letter? I do those all the time. It feels great. But again, seeing the numbers that we just saw with the video medium and the byproducts you can create, I just want you to consider some of these things. So, by show of hands, anybody doing video testimonials? And I know there's going to be the question, hey, my people are humble. They're not giving it to me, right? All right, Ingrid, others? Okay, great. That's fantastic. Um, if you're not, that's okay. You do not have to be expert on these. What people are wanting is authenticity and frequency. And to what you've seen from Liz's example, you can get so much intellectual property if it is not just a way for you to gather information. in a quick and easy setting. So a couple quick things to avoid, and biggest mistakes I see is we try to interview our testimonials, our volunteers. And unless you've gone to a journalism school, you're probably not that great at it. And that's okay. But you do care about them, right? And I heard somebody say it earlier, and I think Liz, I mean, we should go on the road here. I think you're complimenting so well. It's really all about showing genuine curiosity. When's the last time that you were around someone and they just asked you a bunch of questions and they were just so curious about what you were doing? How did that make you feel? Right? How does that make you feel? And if you're away as a volunteer coordinator and you're all trying to build trust and you want them to feel connected, that's a pretty quick and easy way to do that, right? So a couple quick highlights I'll share, and you're going to have this slide deck. And at the end here, I'll show you some things that I'll be available to help noodle on this with you, so you're not just left out there in the wild saying, "Hey, that was a really cool idea. Now what do I do?" You were not alone, my friends. You're not alone. But the first thing is it's your brand. So get some type of consent. You want to have something formal. I'm not a lawyer or legal or marketing, but you know your people, you know your audience. Get something in there because it can be a very powerful tool. We also don't want to ruffle any feathers. The second thing is really you just want to create comfort. Create an environment and you want to be cautious of your space that you're doing these. I do so many of them just from my phone. And I put it on a tripod. I put it on there. I start it rolling because I've already got the consent that, hey, Samantha and I are going to have this dialogue and we're going to learn about her experience today. And it's there in the background. It's already rolling. There's no like, ugh. I remember I got invited for my first podcast and I thought, oh, wow, this is so cool. Oh, wow. Why in the world did they invite me? I'm an imposter. What in the world? Why the heck are they going to listen to me? And I thought, man, I have to have it so polished. It's so nice. And I got in there and it just didn't feel and sound like me. Fortunately, the guy leading the podcast was a good in at asking questions and being a journalist and just made it more comfortable. And then we had a conversation. So, don't stress. This is a conversation. You can edit it afterwards. That's the cool part about video. And what I found, you've got your candid questions. You definitely want to come in with some open, that's the third piece I would say. Come in with some prepared, open-ended questions. I love the one, what is meaningful about your work? And what is your intention to stay? I think those are great. So Liz, please share your cheat sheet survey. But as you look at creating this aura of comfortability as you're going through those candid questions and like the interview started, most of the time when the interview is done and you've stopped your questions and you're just talking, that's where the gold is. So don't discredit the before and after. And then you may be like, I'm not an editor. I don't know how to do this. There's plenty of help out there for you. I can show you how to do it. It's super easy. AI is your friend. Your local university, tap into your volunteers. I guarantee one of them already loves and does this professionally, and they would feel so much pride in creating this for you. Take advantage. It's out there for you. But at the end of the day, kind of put a bow on this. It's all about emotion, right? You are capturing someone's experience with you. It's a transformational experience. It's not just this one-hit wonder. They're talking about why they're investing their talent, their time, some in many cases their treasure. Now you are getting them tied into your organization. You're understanding why they're tied into your organization, and you're getting that testimony now that you can amplify that message. So you best believe when they leave that conversation with you and you all have had this dialogue, they've also, the power of this, it creates more clarity of what the meaning of this experience is to them. So when they're talking to their friends, again, the best marketing you can have as an organization is when someone is talking about you and you're not there, right? We want people to be so proud of what experience you as their leaders created that they're rushing to tell people, you got to check it out. Pause there. I get very excited. This is something I love. How are we feeling out there? Samantha, have we still got everybody online?
Everybody's still active and loving it.
Okay, perfect. So again, biggest mistake I see, Don't interview, just connect with them. You already know how to do that. Be genuinely curious, having those open-ended questions. And these, like I said, the best moments happen after it's rolling, because again, people don't connect to perfection. Especially in the world of AI now, we've got a very keen eye. You're like, that looks funky. But when something's kind of raw and vulnerable and you made a mistake, you can relate to that. And that's authenticity. And that's what people connect to. So that's what I'll challenge you to do. But that's really at the heart of everything that we discussed today. Your volunteers, like I said, they are already telling a story about your organization today. They're telling it to their families, their coworkers, their other volunteer friends, and retirees, churches, their networks, all of them.
Oh, yeah.
So, question is, my friends, what are you doing to intentionally supporting that and helping amplify it? And then find a Liz and use all that data and blow all your metrics up to the right. Because that's the power of this. One little thing, if you leverage this, it can open up a lot of doors. And that's what I hope you get value out of today and you get something actionable is, hey, I got something that if I can connect with people deeply to my mission, they're naturally going to invite other people. And man, if you think of what you're being held accountable for as a volunteer coordinator and executive director and leader, that solves that problem for you, right? So just another way, and that's how momentum grows.
While we have you, Michael, and I think that we could jump into this could lead into the Q&A. So if anybody wants us like start thinking about the questions that they have that we haven't yet answered, um, Michael, when you go ahead and put together these video testimonials, what could you describe a little bit more about the operational process? Either can you tell me a little bit more about the personality traits that you look for in the volunteers that you want to start with and get their testimonies, or could you tell a little bit more about what platforms you find to be the most useful? Like I know we mentioned YouTube here. Some folks have dropped in LinkedIn or other
Mhm.
socials, but can you tell me a little bit more about the success that you've seen?
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of reverse engineer. So from a high level, the
Hmm.
video medium itself, it can be transferred into all your content, right? Your website, your video testimonials, your onboarding and training, right? All the things that are out there, any social media platform, YouTube, all those, right? So that in itself is just the medium. So that's there. As far as like the functionality of it, what I find is, volunteers, this is how I always position it. I don't want to switch and bait someone, but I also know they're humble because I got to remember my audience. So this is just for some audiences, but I let them know your opinion matters, your experience matters. It's my job to make sure that we are servicing you because you're doing such a huge impact. Would
Mm.
you be willing to share your experience? I'm gonna have some candid questions. Yes, great. That's it. Then I get them to volunteer. Hey, we're going to use this medium. We're going to use video. Are you comfortable with that? Cool. No big deal. There's no pressure, right? And so I think one is just having an upfront contract because you're going to have those that, I can't remember who mentioned in the beginning. I think it was Lisa, but like they they're humble. They don't want to do it. That's
Right.
okay. You don't have to do that. But what if I gave you an opportunity to where you could record me a voice memo and I could use that transcription to share your story? Would you be willing to do that? Would you be willing if I just record the conversation and I use some quotes and testimonial? I don't care how you do it. Video is just a way to prompt it, and I know that that leverages you more. I am encouraging you to get information from your people. Take the time. You got 140 people, and when Liz was describing, I'm like, how the hell are you going to call all those people? What? Like, and many of you are like, I'm a apartment of one doing 12 departments. Like, there's no way, right? So, what's realistic? How can you do this? But you know what? What's the value of that, right? How much time does it really take you to do that? And what does that do to the relationship? Does it increase retention? Does it turn them into donors? Does it help them get more? So I like to look at kind of these levers in there. So I'm hoping that's answered your question. I guess in the simplest format is know your audience, ask for permission, get that upfront contract, and then I just use my phone. You don't have to have anything special. These literally, I was with this week, I went to lunch with one of my good buddies. He does video production for Clear Channel across international for concerts. He's been doing it for 25 years. He taught me all this. He goes, I do this, I attach it to, because this is a $200,000 computer already here. There's no other advanced computer. It's already got it. And I can change lenses and I can get fancy,
Yeah.
but again, authenticity matters. So, good question. And here's the reality. Many of you are maybe, if I'm sitting in your situation, I'm like, that's cool, but you don't know me. I have 280 volunteers, or I only got 14 volunteers, right? Here in a second, I want you to share. This is my contact information, but also as part of this, I want to offer every single one of you a free 30-minute consultation. So if there's something that, sparked interest for you here today, and you're like, wow, you know what, that resonated with me, and I want to dive in deeper, or if you just want to talk about brand strategy, because that's what I love talking about, leadership development or fundraising, that all ties into it, but this is for you. So again, don't feel like you're alone. All this is customizable, but the simple thing of connecting your people, capturing that information, using it to leverage is where I see the best not-for-profits using that. And the cool part is it doesn't cost a lot of money, if anything at all. Again, it's just leveraging that talent and time.
Yes.
Cool.
Love it.
Awesome, awesome. All right. I'll leave that up there for a moment. Please book away. And then, yeah, any other questions?
I found this to be so insightful from so many different perspectives. I mean, like through the multiple organizations that Civic Champs works with, trying to get your volunteer just to not just like stop in for their monthly, weekly routine and to really push them forward into evangelizing has been so helpful to across so many different organizations. So I think, Michael, like everything that you said today, it's just empowering nonprofits to really get to their mission and get back to sort of creating a place of community. That's what this is all about.
It's a game, my friend. Well, it's truly been an honor. Again, Liz, you got to put some money in your back pocket. For the great feedback and insight. And I believe we're better together. So look, I didn't make up all this overnight. I've taken this from years of trial and error and working with others. So anything that I share really is a distilled, timeless truth. So that way you don't have to go and skin your knees and get burnt as many times. But part of this, as Liz even mentioned, it's a maturation process. So pick something that works with you, go into it, and keep evolving. But there is a beautiful compound effect. This medium is not going away. Your volunteers, they now more than ever want to find purpose, and the quickest way for people to create trust and an organized belief we're finding is through visual. As you look at your senses, there's a lot of optics involved. I don't want to nerd out in biology with you and the psychology of it, but this is an attention marketplace. Now more than ever, our attention and our ability to stay not distracted is harder than it's ever been. Look at your phone right now and see how much time you spend on your phone, right? How has that been? So I love talking to this. This is something that's really important. I admire all the work that you're doing because without you, we wouldn't be able to make these impacts. So please reach out if I can be of a continual resource, and I'll follow up. I know Samantha will with some surveys on how we did and continue to make this better and bring more value. But yeah, any closing questions, thoughts, comments? I would love to hear one thing if you put it into the chat. One thing that you're going to try or an action that you think you'll take away from this today. More videos,
I
yeah,
love it. More videos.
yeah, Patty.
I'm glad to see that this has been helpful for folks building out their volunteer program.
Yeah. Thanks, Jess. Have fun.
Amazing.
Awesome.
Well, thank you, everybody. We're going to circulate what we covered today, the recording and the deck. And then please feel welcome to reach out to Michael directly for that 30-minute consult. I think it will do you all wonders. He has been a great asset, and we've been so lucky to have him here today.